Hello, everyone, and good evening. Thank you for joining us for session 2 of the Pitman Sculpture, an Apocalypse Keys special mini series on this channel in collaboration with our lovely friends at Queen's Court Games. We are very excited to get into more intense shenanigans given what happened last session, and I'm very excited to play with all of these lovely folks who are I'm sure, very eager to grasp keys and unravel some very interesting elements of this peculiar mystery before us. A reminder, of course, to everyone watching or listening that you can support Speculate in many different ways, including by checking out the website at speculatesf.com and joining us over on Patreon at patreon.com/speculate, where you can get all kinds of very neat goodies about all of the content that we make, including goodies about this. Uh, so, without further ado, I would like to ask all of these lovely folks to please tell everyone who you are, what you do, and who you'll be playing this evening, starting with Mike.
Hello, everyone. I am Mike. I write science fiction and fantasy as Michael R. Underwood. My latest book is actually my first book, but again, because I've been reissuing the Geekomancy series, so you can read that if you like urban fantasy where pop culture is a magic system. You can find me streaming sometimes on twitch.tv/turbotango, and I'm one of the three co-hosts of Speculate, along with Brandon and our friend Gregory A. Wilson. They or he pronouns for me. I am playing Tempo, who uses they them pronouns. They are the last playbook.
Thank you. Next, Aaron.
Hi, yes, hello, friends. I am Aaron. I am the resident forever GM over at Queen's Court Games, and I would like to take this moment to say that I am delighted to actually be here again because not only am I a Speculate Patreon subscriber, but I just bought Mike's book, and it'll be here in a few days so I can read it. So it's like getting to be at the table with people I'm a huge fan of, and that feels great. I use he, him pronouns, and today I will be playing John/Jane. Either works. He uses any pronouns. They are the found.
Thank you. Next, Jeoi.
Hello, welcome, and feel free to stay a while, even though I am not at the moment actually speaking to you. I am Jeoi Gawain Lin, he, they pronouns, game, and fiction writer. Tonight I will be playing Hamalio, a zombie cinnamon roll, and they, she pronouns for Hamalio, and they are the summoned.
And last but not least, Aubrey.
Hello, I'm Aubrey. You can find me everywhere on the internet at the Mad Queen or Mad Queen Cosplay. I am the technical director over at Queen's Court Games, along with a lot of other things. But you can but tonight I will be playing Ciara Tan, the Surge playbook, and we both use she/her pronouns.
Thank you. And as for me, I am Brandon O'Brien. I keep the keys, so you don't have to. I am one of the co-hosts over at Speculate, and I am a writer, game designer, and poet from Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm very excited to get into some shenanigans now, because when we last left off in the Pitman Sculpture, our lovely crew of misfit members of Division had been given a mission in the middle of the morning, in the dead of dark of midnight, to go find out about a sculpture that had been presumed missing for ages, only to be rediscovered in the black market, go for sale, and then go off the grid again. And in their investigation, they discovered that in a diner somewhere in LA, lots of mischief has been happening, including but not limited to the intensely physically uh, locked, frozen bodies of dozens of patrons who seem to be muttering to themselves about seeking some beautiful thing about themselves or about the world. We are not yet sure. And in the midst of attempting to find out more information about what happened here, who has the sculpture, and where they went with it before they left. Our good friend Jane was about to be accosted by these previously frozen figures. And that's where we're going to dive back in to the story as uh, three roughly 6 feet apart from you, three figures, including the cashier Janice, are uh, roughly surrounding you, Jane. Um, you have only just noticed that they are all now looking at you, um, dazed in awe, slowly grasping towards you. You know that this is a bad thing to happen. They're about to touch you. They don't know what happens when they touch you, but you do. What happens if they touch you?
Well, if they touch me, there is no you anymore. There's just an us, brackets, very negative, close brackets.
That sounds like a thing that you'd like to avoid, yes?
If I can help it, yeah.
How do you plan to avoid that?
I think that the panic is the initial emotion, that all physical contact is to be avoided for the reasons that have been discussed in the last episode. P.S. Go watch it. But in this particular case, it's the added negativity of the mystery. So any kind of smooth, dexterous motion, any kind of you know quiet way of handling this is well out the door. As Jane's brain starts to collect all the relative details. So I think I am actually going to unleash the dark and use my power of the telepathy of telekinesis to just blast these things away from me with a wave of psychic force.
Okay. Are you gonna spend any darkness tokens on that?
I don't have any darkness tokens, so I'm going to pray to my singular awful god and hope that this works out.
Okay, we are all crossing our appendages for you.
Finding where that is on this sheet. Unleash the dark, spend and roll. All right. Well, I've got good news and bad news. The good
Mhm.
news is that we have an interesting narrative moment coming because the bad news is I have rolled a 5, a completeness.
Aha. On a miss, you have greatly underestimated them. The keeper will describe the desperate position you find yourself in. Oh God. Oh God.
Can I introduce something into the canon that might explain this?
I'm curious to hear what you'd like to introduce.
It would be my idea that either they are incorporeal, so the actual like psychic pressure wave just passes through them, or that whatever is inside me that grants me this power, when it interacts with the raw force of them, it's like matter antimatter, and that I actually get pushed away or it recoils into my own brain.
Hmm. So there is a version of that I also like. So you'll tell me if this works. We can veto this as well. But your powers play very strongly with a level of psychic awareness. Um, that is already very tense in this moment because you've already learned a lot from all of these people psychically. And it also doesn't help or hurt that in this moment everyone in this room is focused on one singular very emotive thought. So what happens is you release that wave in the hopes that it physically will repel everyone, or at least stun everyone to the point where they don't actually interact with you. And instead, you just get even more feedback. They're not touching you yet. They're still conscious, they're still working towards touching you. In this moment, however, you are very strongly struck with the same feeling that they are. There's a beautiful thing in the world, and you would like to have it, or be it, or know it, or see it. You're still trying to make sense of what that is, because for all these people, that is actually fundamentally different. But you're having all of those feelings at once for them. Anybody else in this moment, you see John with this look on their face of something in the middle of intense frustration and deep spiritual rapture. They are trying to understand something in their own brain that you have no idea what it is, but it looks like it's not making any sense, and it's causing them a lot of annoyance. But also some, but perhaps or not all of you, know that it would be a bad thing if somebody touches Jane, and these three people are still trying to do so. Is anyone like to intervene?
I would like
have
to
a question.
intervene.
I have a question. Is the
Uh,
face that John has still the baby face?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, cool.
I definitely would like to intervene. Like, go for the closest person to me, and grab them and try to just pull them back.
Okay. What would you like to? What's the move you'd like to make?
Actually, using this sort of power of flame, kind of like superheat the air in front of them in a way that it kind of buffets them backwards.
Ah, cool. That definitely does indeed work.
And that would probably be what? Trying to think. Just unleash the dark.
That sounds like Unleash the Dark to me.
Cool. I have no darkness tokens either, so this is probably going to be great as well.
Bad John Day. Bad John Day.
Wait. Oh, I already spent my bond with you, or else I would. It's a 7. It's still a miss, though.
But a 7 is a miss that can be turned into an 8 with the expense of a bond, right?
I don't have a bond to spend.
So if I have a bond with Ciara, can I spend it to help her?
If I am not mistaken, you should in fact be able to do that.
Okay.
I would be happy to spend a bond because I believe that I have one with Ciara as well. Okay. Yes, I have one with Ciara, and I can say that I help in that
It's either that or I let it go real bad because I have the move, the Heart's Eclipse, and it says whenever I roll a miss, I can choose to have powered surge beyond my control, causing great collateral damage.
Oh.
But I could spend my bond and have that manifest in gameplay by jumping in between John and the others. So like maybe there was that physical destruction as well. Because I do have a torn between episode that we didn't get to in the last session. That's still waiting in the wings. So.
And we are in fact going to get to that. The rules are not clear about whether someone can spend a bond on another player, but I'm gonna allow it because I just want to see what the scene, how we manifest that bond in the first place anyway.
That's if Aubrey is okay with that.
Yeah, go for it.
Of course, if you want to use the Heart's Eclipse move, because that
Part
also
of me
sounds
does, but
difficult.
also I'm like, that's gonna cause a lot more problems than I think we need right now.
Okay, more
That
like a mid-season move. Okay, got
yeah,
it.
that one is like there is no diner anymore.
Okay. Um, so I see my bestest friend Ciara attempt to superheat the air, and I smell it crackle across the boundaries of mortal existence. And I see that for whatever reason, it is not repelling these three people who are reaching for Jane in the same way that I saw the figures reaching towards me in the brief moment of very bad connection that caused a limousine door inspired spree of destruction last session. Um, but I realize that my friend is in danger and I am going to help. And I realize once again that I don't know how to help on a mortal scale because I am not actually a mortal being, but I'm gonna try because they're my bestest friends. So I jump in and I T pose to assert dominance.
Oh god. Okay. Um. So you're not trying to light anything on fire, are you, Sierra?
Isn't my intention, but you know.
I mean, with the +1, um. In fact, I should let you qualify this first. With the +1, you wield the darkness with control and ease, and you get to choose two.
Um. Yep. Let's see. We are going to. We'll get the upper hand, and we'll. I think we'll avoid reprisals.
Cool. Right. So, what happens in this moment is, in a moment of a lack of control, you would probably have lit this countertop on fire, very swiftly set this part all the way to the kitchen ablaze by this point. But instead, you just make this like very intensely warm bubble around John, um, with most of the heat facing outward. It's still very warm. John, you are not comfortable in this moment, but at least no one's touching you, and everybody else is they're not conscious enough in this moment to know that what they are doing is recoiling from pain, but their bodies won't let them pass through this barrier of intense heat. So they're still like clawing outside of it, unable to get past you. Get past it to you. Um and all of the other people in the room who are like slowly like crawling towards the space kind of stop, and it seems like they're making out the fact that a barrier has occurred that will prevent them from engaging with you, but they're still looking very intensely at you. You can leave this space at will. It will not feel good, but it won't hurt you. um but of course, if you do, you will be encountering all of these people. So you should now, all of you, determine what is the course of action that will allow you to leave this space without John getting in further peril.
I think from my part, I can set the stage by saying that Jane is first overwhelmed by the idea of just not making contact with these things. So scrambling away on their hands like backwards while the glove hands are up in the like the kind of defensive posture. And then when the heat comes, it turns more into like a standing in front of a blast furnace is the feeling I'm getting. Like someone has opened up the final 15 minutes of Terminator directly in Jane's face. Uh, and is just completely paralyzed there. So I will add my own complication to this, that if you want John to leave, you're going to have to take Jane with you, because they are not in a position to do that on their own right now.
Luckily
Uh,
for Jane, I have colossal strength. I can pick you up and carry you to safety like a normal human being.
You can do that. Is that an action that you'd like to take?
Yes, that is exactly what I am going to do. Hehe.
You should roll for that. What action would you like to take? That sounds like Unleash the Dark as well.
Yes. Let me see. I need to scroll to Unleash the Dark because this page is extremely confusing. Unleash the Dark. Here we go. When you unleash the dark within you to enforce your will on someone, physically, socially, emotionally, spend darkness tokens and roll. I have 5 darkness tokens right now.
A thing should happen before this happens.
Yes.
um. Oh God.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, John.
each half of John that remains will still appreciate you as a friend.
Thank
Before you act, I will still give you the action, but before you act, you are torn between.
Okay.
So, you do you have any further bonds with anyone?
I have 2 bonds with John and or Jane, and I have 1 with Ciara.
I also have 2 with Hamaliel, so we're besties. It's no big deal.
Just 2 weirdos being 2 weirdos.
So, unless of course you were preparing to make a base roll. I mean, I'll give you the choice. You may either let your monstrous nature show and describe the damage that your outburst causes, marking 1 ruin. Describe how you diminish your power and lose all darkness tokens, but that means that will also have narrative implications for the move that you already prepared to make. Or you can spend a bond and describe how they directly or inadvertently help you regain control. So I feel like the scene is, you see all of this happening. This is a very messy moment, and a part of you is like, I could just make a mess here. I could just juggernaut this side of the diner, and everyone else will be severely injured because they're mostly mortal. But at least you'll be out of this building. But that sounds like a bad idea because there are police outside. And also you don't want to make the news. A thing that you're known for. A thing that Aya already doesn't like you constantly doing anyway. So you should probably consider the consequences of that as well.
The thing is that we have all been escalating very fast, and nothing has happened so far that indicates that the escalation is going to happen. So I'm kind of tempted to say I mark 1 ruin, because everything has been super stressful so far. I'm in the inside of a superheated bubble currently. I'm going to say that what happens is that the corpse shell that Hamaliel is in sort of slips a little, and an aspect of their law kind of leaks out from it. So everybody else sees like this giant spectral nebula-esque skeleton arms suddenly just kind of whiff briefly into existence and then disappear again. But basically, around Hamaliel, things just enter dissolution. Things just sort of fall apart. Not in a particularly dramatic way or a destructive way. They just sort of enter entropy. And it's all almost kind of peaceful because this is all a very natural process. You're just watching time move forward very, very quickly in a very unnatural and yet natural way. And this happens as Hamaliel turns around, sees Jane scrambling backwards, and says in a voice that starts warbling oddly out of dimension and into something that sounds like it comes from a galaxy or something. Don't worry, my friend, I'm going to save you. And then just tackle grabs Jane up into a carry over their shoulder, which, may I remind you, Hamaliel is 5 feet tall. So this looks extremely bizarre. And basically just runs out of the diner.
Okay. As in out the front door?
Whatever is the clearest line of sight, I guess.
I mean,
So the least
facing...
obstructed way.
Facing Jane, you would either have to walk around the counter and Janice in order to get to the front door, or you could just run through the kitchen where people are, but you don't know who those people are because they're still on the other side of the door. But either way, either of those is fine. I just want to hear you define a course of action.
Okay. I'm guessing that Ciara and Tempo are in front of me, so by the counter and Janice as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I run past the counter and Janice, and I say to my bestest friends, who all have very strange looks on their faces for some reason, "Come, let us go! It is time to leave!"
Cool. So you make it to the front door.
And I need to roll now for Unleash the Dark. Because I have not done that yet.
Yes, you have not. Mm-hmm. I am inclined to give it to you for that scene.
But then because I will still have 5 darkness tokens.
This is true. Okay, so I'll make you Unleash the Dark for getting past Janice and one other person by the door. So we can see what the outcome of the action would be.
Okay, and for Torn Between, I'm marking 1 ruin because I let my monstrous nature show and describe the damage my outburst caused. So I've marked 1 ruin, going to Unleash the Dark now.
Would you like to spend any of those tokens?
I would love to spend these tokens because I do not wish to be torn between again. How many should I spend? We've been rolling kind of crap, haven't we? 2 seems safe?
2 seems safe. A reminder that you can roll disastrously successful as well.
I know. I'm okay, yeah. 2. Famous last words. Let's go. Spend bonus? No, I don't want to spend a bonus. Spend and roll. That's a 10. A perfect hit.
Beautiful.
Okay. Oh God. Brilliant. I love this so very much. So, you get to choose 2.
So get past their defenses, inflict a condition, get what you want, avoid reprisals, gain the upper hand, expose a weakness or flaw, confuse them for some time.
I feel like confuse them is good. It would be valuable in this moment.
I feel like confusing is definitely one because a small dimensional event also happened. And I think maybe getting past defenses and inflicting a condition makes sense just because I was torn between and that inflicted some kind of damage. I'm going to look up what conditions are.
Confuse them for a time makes sense because Jane is also confused for a time right now. So it makes sense the monsters are also experiencing that emotion.
Okay, so conditions are raging, lovelorn, obsessed, and despairing.
Well,
People usually...
each Apocalypse Keys playbook has their own conditions.
Oh.
And so those are conditions that are specific to the summoned.
Oh, okay.
Conditions for
Mhm.
NPCs are probably just at the keeper's discretion.
Okay.
Because that's so. Because I was gonna say a lovely series of things just happened.
Uh-oh.
One, while unleashing your nature in this space, when this part of your nature reveals itself to this group, Hamaliel, you and only you hear everyone in the room that is not Tempo, Jane, or Ciara gasp. You hear it only in your head. You hear it the way that you would hear orders from the Most High if you still heard those orders. You can, in that moment, you vaguely make out, you think some of these people, like the focus of their eyes very briefly turned to you before they went back to Jane and attempted to break through the barrier of heat. Um, but that was gone as quickly as that leaked visage of your law had returned to you. And when you rush past Janice, you kind of notice that they're back in this personally dazed space that they were in. And they are now, and they've gone back to muttering, but they are no longer muttering in English. You hear briefly as you're rushing past Janice. You weren't really thinking about it at that time. But you hear Janice is muttering in Enochian.
Oh no, that's very bad.
But yeah, that's very bad. But it's not for you to think about anymore because now you're out of the diner. Um, everyone in that diner is now dazed. Um, they're going to be trapped like that again. They just now have other beautiful things to think about. And you briefly consider whether one of those things may ultimately, in some tragic sense, be part of the image of you. But you're
I'm
now
not
all
thinking
outside.
about that right now.
As we shift scene beats, I will say that I'll take darkness tokens for feeling frustrated or scared / reacting with uncertainty or cowardice. I have no concept of how many is appropriate. Like 2 is the base. I also did make it worse for everybody. Is that more? This part I'm not clear
Oh
on.
yeah, I'll take 3. Told me
Hmm.
take 3. That was a lot.
I would like to feel overwhelmed by everything that just happened.
um, I should check a thing as well.
Because that's one of my gaining darkness tokens. So it's like feel overwhelmed.
Oh, having too much is not good for any of us.
Yep.
No.
Can I ask?
Indeed.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, feel free. You were about to say a thing.
Just for fictional positioning, once Hamaliel is outside, what are they doing with Jane?
Um, I have taken you off my shoulder and I'm holding you up by the waist, I guess, because it's your waist that's folded over my shoulder, like you are a small child. And I'm looking you up and down.
Just a big elongated baby. This is
Yeah,
beautiful.
my
Um,
friend. I'm basically
uh,
yelling, my friend, are you okay? That kind of thing.
Jane, you're the first to notice before Hamaliel does that there are 2, like, plainclothes detectives, like noir level plainclothes, long trench coat, with the collars raised, sipping what you can smell from here is bad coffee, who are looking at you both like this is the strangest thing that they've seen all night, which is saying a lot considering what they've seen. But that's because it dawns on you in this moment that they're seeing the equivalent of someone Danny DeVito's height holding up someone well beyond their height and weight, as if they are no physical problem at all for them to lift.
There's a lot going through my mind all at once. I in my particular canon, when Hamaliel is describing like the voice of the cosmos, I don't think John's portraying that as words. I think it's like a Hans Zimmer trumpet kind of everything noise. So it's like the wah 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 from Charlie Brown, but like really bassy, like inside of your appendix rumbling kind of noise. So as you're talking in cheerful, it's just incomprehensible. Like, how do you think about the scale of the universe except someone's voice just rattling before eventually like the eyeballs focus and it's there. uh it's a bit like the Bugs Bunny where like you get hit by the frying pan and it wobbles slowly until it kind of comes back into clarity,
Mm-hmm.
um before also realizing that they are suspended midair, and there's an acute sense of like despite knowing what you want like the emotion to be here, like you're looking for the joy, and just being that it's so delicate and afraid, the way that the glove hands reach out to like lay on your shoulders and be like it's okay, you can put me down now. The way that with the same like trepidation when you're trying to like stand up to a bear, just like it is plainly obvious that Jane doesn't know what to do with how strong you are right now, especially because they are still dealing on epoch time, slowly coalescing back into reality.
Okay. Uh, one of those officers, like mid sip, like it is still like the coffee is still like inches from their lips, and they just look at y'all and go, did y'all learn anything we didn't already know?
Hamaliel puts Jane down very carefully, and looks to the cop and announces happily, "We learned that we can save our friends."
If it's
Okay.
if it's okay, I'd like for Tempo to be kind of hovering, like basically hovering their way out to join the scene, and with kind of with hands in as comforting a beatific position as they can be, having too many joints and being just too large for humans. Say, officers, please run a search on an individual named Hank Collins, who appears to be involved in the situation that occurred.
Okay, we'll get somebody on that immediately. The guy almost like you can see the gears turning in his head, less like a cop and more like he thinks he's in a TV show when he throws his coffee um to the nearest, like to like the furthest end of the parking lot outside this diner, and you realize as it spins in midair and the lid flies off that this cup of coffee was full and is still steaming hot. um as he taps the other guy on the shoulder and they rush towards their car to pull up their dash computer, even though you know that this is not a hurry. um and a couple of other officers watch them, and this guy like calls out, "Collins, we think he's responsible." And everybody like starts going to their radios, try to like um pass information back to headquarters, etc. You get the impression that they think that they're responding to this as if this is a SWAT level or terrorist level situation, because it doesn't make any sense. um as this happens, I would like for you, Tempo, to tell me what this session's flickering hope is.
Yes, so as the group kind of crowded around Jane, Tempo is reminded of an interdimensional virus that their people discovered some centuries ago, because Tempo's people live on a chronological scale that is fairly disconnected from human lifespans. And so Tempo was already kind of an adult and active when the Relayum, which is their people, discovered this a virus that created a groupthink situation among another species that the Relayum had some kind of, interplanetary trade activity with. And when members of the Relayum were kind of lost into that hive mind, other members came together to utilize this kind of temporal manipulation that they have to rewind to the point that each person was inserted or subsumed into this collective. And so Tempo is reminded of that experience and is actually kind of filled with some hope, but also doubt. Hope because there is the chance that this can work here. Doubt because this is a very different time and a very different people, and humans are complicated.
Indeed.
So this is both love and sorrow that I'm speaking with. What I hope for is that we can do the same thing, that these people could be kind of returned to their selfhood. And I'm going to spend 2 darkness tokens and roll. If that actually works. Are you going to do?
Did it do the
Oh,
thing?
I need to press a different thing. Okay, that's
That is a perfect hit.
fantastical. Yep.
If you all keep doing 10s, this is going to be grand.
Right, we have one session that's almost all misses, then another session that's hits, and so we finish the first case tonight. It's like, it's the 80-20 rule, but in a way that's confusing.
I feel like it's also very telling that on both of those perfect hits, you both spent exactly 2 darkness tokens, which means that if you had not intervened, you would have still perfect hit. And I hope that that's a trend that does not need to repeat. But we'll see how this goes. But yes, choose 2.
Okay, so my options are: describe how a fellow monster reminds you of someone from your past and gain 1 bond with them. Describe how the tragedy of your people haunts you and gain 1 bond with what the darkness demands. Or describe the long overture of the apocalypse and how it claimed your people. Uncover a key. So I want to... I'm going to say... Well, first I'm going to look at my bonds. I'm going to say that in this moment, John reminds me of the person of the Relayum who was first lost to this hive mind, who is also a kind of inquisitive but nervous sort. And seeing that mirroring in Jane kind of helps Tempo connect with them a little bit more directly as a person, not as a human, as a person, because the kind of the anthropocentrism of Tempo is toward the Relayum. And so thinking about someone as being like of their people creates a stronger, closer emotional tie, because they're not great with people that are humans. And then the other one is going to be that when the police have gone off, Tempo shares this story with the other members of the group, if it's okay, and if Ciara has kind of come out to join everyone.
Would have followed you out.
Yeah. They say, my people encountered something not unlike this mass subsumption into a single will. We were able to untangle it by removing people chronologically, temporally from that collective. I don't know that it can be done here, but I do know that doing so is dangerous because it was an over-reliance and an overextension of our chronal manipulation that created the cascading dissolution of our societal integrity. That is a longer story that is not as relevant here, but we should proceed with caution. And I want to uncover a key. And my like the thing that I'm kind of gonna pitch is a key about the kind of hive mind element, that something in that uncovers or gestures towards something for tempo, if that's okay. But I'm also very happy to take something else if you have an idea.
Okay. Uh you I want to give you the thing that you want and not the thing that I want to give you.
If it will help the story move forward, I'm very happy to take the thing that you want to give.
So you are telling this story, and as you do so, as you're thinking back about like the collective work that the Relayum did in order to um retract that event in order to save its people, you feel this weird kind of, it's not necessarily feedback, you feel the equivalent of what a binaural beat would sound like. And it gives you the impression that a kind of collective performative action was taking place in this space. And when you try to like hone in on that image, on what that tone of energy might be, it directs you back facing the diner, and that's when you kind of realize that there is, like, you look at it and you see this like kind of energy feedback emerging from it, that when you squint at it, like when you just kind of give it the barest of glimpses without trying to focus on it, that's when you really realize that something is happening here. You notice that it is like vaguely surrounded by the ephemeral image of what look like cocoons slowly emerging into monarch butterflies and then slowly retracting back into cocoons, like this kind of ghostly image of 3 or 4 or 5 of them surrounding the entire diner, as big as a child, but obviously just cocoons, just kind of ebbing and flowing in and out of their crystallization. And when you focus on it, it's not there, and it gives you this like impression that an action is being taken, an action was being forced onto this space, that it wasn't actually the sculptor that did this to these people. It was someone or something or some group of people or things doing a thing either to the space or to the sculptor when Collins +1 was here briefly.
Okay. Cool. So I have this on Uncovered Keys as ephemeral image of cocoons slowly emerging into monarch butterflies and then returning to chrysalis.
That works.
Cool.
I'm sorry for being so verbose, but that works.
I mean, if there was a series to be that kind of extra, I think this is one to do that.
As you see that, you're focusing on these things, and now I am going to tick the doomsday clock once of 4. one of those cocoons, something emerges from one of those cocoons as you are looking at it. And as you are looking at it, everyone else can now see it. Almost like a kind of backlash of your natural temporal power.
Okay, so currently our uncovered keys are a diner crowd murmuring, wanting to be beautiful, Hank Collins, one of the suitcase guys, and the cocoons.
Mm-hmm.
So like tempo kind of relates the chrysalis thing to the others at probably as these officers are speaking, but then says, "And yet, I do not know where we should head yet. Where next shall we go?" And they look to the others like genuinely interested in getting their feedback, not in like a teacher's pet knows what to do and wants to know if you know the answer. Like it's a genuine question.
And we've got the name. Does the name, like, do they have an apartment or a house somewhere? Maybe that's a good place to start. Even if they're not there and then the thing isn't there, maybe they've got some books or papers.
Or do they like work for somebody? Are they a
Yeah.
if like a courier service would be like the really helpful answer, but
Right.
is there or is there an organization above this that is
Hey, they're doing this on someone's orders, kind of thing.
mhm.
Mm-hmm. So I will let you grasp keys to ask any of the two detectives to tell you. But before that happens, I want to return to that scene. Um, you all kind of notice as Tempo relays this to you, you can now see one of those cocoons. All of you can see it. Still vaguely, but still very softly. One of you sees in it a thing that absolutely troubles you. What is it that you see?
Is there a specific person who is troubled, or are we all picking something that troubles us?
I want it to be a particular person, but I want to hear who wants that before I start compelling people.
Should we do nose
Ciara,
goes?
Ciara being disturbed.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I can see something disturbing.
Okay,
Mhm.
good. Um, so what is it that you see?
Um, I see I see a face of someone who shouldn't have a face anymore because I have burned it away. It is a face of one of the people who I have accidentally killed with my powers.
Does this person have a name?
Let's call them Andrew.
I have so many questions about Andrew, but none of them matter. Well, you see the moment that it happened, the moment that you scarred Andrew for life. But it feels different to you in this scene. First of all, you're seeing yourself in third person, which is not how that's supposed to happen. Um, but in that scene as well, you see it as if it were a purposeful act. Not only a thing that you did deliberately, but a thing that you did without trying to do harm. You see that you get this impression from your movement, from the look on your face, from the framing of something about the framing of the scene tells you you did this to Andrew because you thought it was for Andrew's own good. And as the flame takes their face, in this like large inferno wrapping around their head, another thing that didn't happen the time that it happened, because that would be a lot, you get the impression whenever the flames kind of flicker widely enough for you to see what remains of Andrew's face, that he seems remarkably pleased by this. And then as you start focusing on the scene and trying to make out more about it, it fades from view. You can only see the diner and the frozen bodies of the people inside it. No one else can see what you see. They saw the cocoon very briefly, and then they also just see the diner. Take 2 darkness tokens.
Okay. That'll put me up to 4 darkness tokens.
4. Okay, cool.
Yep. I'm almost there.
So then, do you want to be the person that does the grasp keys with the police?
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
I'll do that.
Also, the
Okay.
only genuinely human, even if human asterisk, member of the group.
Yeah.
I look human. My appearance will give them lots of questions.
Well,
Technically speaking, my body is superhuman. I'm human with spirit.
indeed. Human with a lot of faith.
I have skin. What more do they want?
Just
Oh,
skin.
God.
No
It's like
meat,
all of
just
the
skin.
distinctions are not really helpful. Are you mortal? I mean, you don't need to be human to be mortal. Technically, Tempo is mortal. Are you like you are still technically human, but then what does that even mean or qualify? So yes.
Yeah, I mean, but also like I think I want to get away from what I just saw
Sure.
as quickly as possible. So it is sees the thing, heel turn on a dime, and just starts walking towards the police.
Mm-hmm.
I observe to my friends who remain that Ciara seems to be in a dark pickle.
So, let's grasp keys then.
Yeah. I'm gonna spend 3 darkness tokens.
Okay.
And it continues with a perfect hit.
Nice. Cool. Haha. So you walk up to the detective and they're like frantically typing on their dash computer. Like, a dash computer is only supposed to operate one way. You search someone's license plate, you search someone's name, it gives you details. Homie is typing. It doesn't make any sense. But you glance over his shoulder while he's like not paying attention to you. That while a bunch of details on what seems to be a reasonably long but not very like officious document. It doesn't seem like Collins has been ever it doesn't seem like he has a record, but it seems like there are a lot of very easily available details about him on the police record. But the thing that immediately emerges is that someone has already responded to the APB to his license plate and tracked it to a place that is roughly about 3 miles from here. And you see that as soon as the cop sees that, as he lifts his head back out of the car, whistles to the other cops, says, "We got him, boys!" And he gets in his police cruiser, closes the door, and speeds off. The other police officers get in their cruisers and are prepared to follow immediately. So like that's the reason why you didn't get a chance to like look at an entire document. Everybody just kind of takes off. So it's just y'all, everyone in the diner, and your limo driver is still above the culvert going, what on earth did I just watch happen for half an hour?
Our limo driver got face erased. Do we realize this? Did any of us notice, besides John, that our limo driver is not the same person as a month ago?
Oh no, yeah, you all notice. Someone's still very obviously in the car. Does not look like the guy who drove you here. But this person still has the very, like, peculiarly judgmental demeanor that you sensed when you got into the limo the first time.
This is really good because the last communication I had with any of you about this was like, nope, nothing to see here, nothing happened. Like, bald ass lied to all of your faces about it, and now the faces have hoisted by my own face joke as the limo driver stands there.
And Brandon, what is the key that we should write down?
All right. The key is that Collins is staying at a hotel 3 miles from here. Yes.
Okay. Colin's staying at a hotel 3 miles from the diner.
Mm-hmm. I will
Let's
definitely
name this hotel.
Aubrey, what's the hotel?
Neutral milk.
Oh God. The Trenton Arms.
That's not as funny.
Yeah, it's not funny.
But I will immediately, like, seeing all of this happening and having this information, immediately turn around, start running back towards my friends. Friends, in quotes, but you know.
So yeah.
I fear
Y'all can get back in the limo. It's kind of busted up, but it still works.
I fear there may be a loss of lives if the police are allowed to intervene first.
Yes, let us follow them.
Yeah,
Follow?
I don't want to have to deal with that on a report.
Jane muttering to themselves, not much better guarantee if we go.
I mean, did you see an address, or do we need to follow the cruisers? This is the limo driver speaking.
The hotel 3 miles away, the Trenton Arms.
Trenton Arms. He thinks himself very briefly. Oh, yeah, I could do that. I guess since I'm driving with a panic button, we might as well do the thing. Are you getting in?
Yes.
Okay, you file into the limo.
Aren't we short one door on the limo?
Yeah, well, we're down a door.
So... Oh no, yeah, the limo is in a state, but
Amalia quickly runs to the diner to get the door.
Oh my God.
There isn't time. We gotta go.
That's not gonna help me. What are you gonna do? Staple it back? Just get in.
I get in and I hold the door shut on my side.
Oh my God. And like visibly frustrated by the fact that this door is not gonna seal.
It can seal with enough strength, yes.
Wrenching it so hard under the frame that now we can't open it again.
Yes, we can if I open it.
He starts the ignition. You hear the axle scrape on the concrete of this parking lot. You see him very slowly turn back onto the highway, and then you all move at supersonic speed again, and you are at this hotel. This hotel, the Trenton Arms, looks like it was a big deal ages ago. It looks a great deal. Like, it looks like one of those, like, 70s, 80s hotels. Well, no, 60s, 70s hotels. That was renovated to keep some of its old school flair, specifically to just court more of a LA tourist audience. Um, but judging from what has been renovated rather than what is like obviously a new attachment to try to amp up the 60s energy of this space, that this seemed like a very popular hotel back when it was in its prime. um it gives a kind of LA Confidential feel. um you get out the limo, go to the doorman out front. He's like, y'all don't look like you're from around here. Silently making small talk as he opens the door, but he looks at you all like he's like genuinely confused by your presence.
This is something that I can fix because I can look like whoever I need to. So if we don't, if other people like jump ahead in line, but if we need to, I will. I I have so many faces back here to borrow from. Like I'll find one.
Not this one,
Yeah.
not this one, not this one.
Because
This one.
that,
This trauma can fit so many faces in it.
because that would be in John's like dossier for division, right?
I think so.
That
Yeah.
kind of mimicry ability. And so Tempo kind of whispers, or it's like stage whisper to John. What if you were my manager and you all are my entourage? We are here for Hollywood business.
Ah, yes, Hollywood business.
Excellent. Yeah.
Okay, I want you. What do I want you to do?
If
What
that's
do you
a
do
if that's
here?
a fun angle for us to play out of character.
Yes.
We are all wearing suits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I'm carrying the
So-
limo door with me.
So this sounds like Man of a Thousand Faces.
Well, so I was gonna ask, do we need to? Because Man of a Thousand Faces, I can't put a specific face on. I can put vibes on, like one of which is intimidating, so we can go that route. Happy to roll for if you want to, or we can just play it straight, and you can pretend that your manager is a 6'2" hoodie emo
Right.
with extra glove hands, right? Like either one of those works for me.
Either one of those is fine by me. Which is the very strong thing about this is in another Powered by the Apocalypse game, there is still a thing that you should roll for this, but because Apocalypse Keys doesn't have stats, only your moves, and you don't have a move for just perform an action.
I'll put a face on. So I'll interpret you look like one who causes fear and easily intimidates others to be like that record producer, I am famous, do not mess with me because I'm a huge deal kind of persona, if that makes sense.
Yeah, all of that works for me, but let me see your roll then.
I'm not gonna spend 2 because I'm paranoid now that if I do, it'll go over. So I'm gonna spend 1 and then hope.
Natural. Oh no!
That's a 5.
Well, if you spent 2, we'd be at 6, and then you'd need to spend 2 more bonds to get to 8. So it probably was just not in the cards.
Yeah, I think we
No.
can only spend one bond at a time.
We can only spend one.
No, I think you can spend as many bonds as you want.
Mm.
Because I saw an example in the book of I think a 13 that got spent down to a 10.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
on
is
a
it
mi-
one bond per person then?
No, like so Jane could spend, all right, I'm going to spend 2 bonds with Sierra and 1 bond with what the darkness demands, and then we figure out what all that means.
Oh, okay.
on a miss for this power, a thought or memory bears the mark of a harbinger, causing you to lose control of your form entirely. The keeper
Oh.
will tell you what happens next.
Why is this happening?
Okay,
It's hard to be a monster.
I know. Oh, this is hilarious.
It's so many sad feelings.
This is hilarious. I am. Because of the nature of this mystery, You technically still succeed, is what I'm going to tell you. It just happens. You try to put on a face. You try to create a vibe. Um, and in that moment, you're trying to like search the Rolodex of your mind for a face to just put on, for a kind of energy to just kind of put out into the world, and your mind kind of snaps back to that scene in the diner. Just like taking in everybody's strong feelings of this longing for beauty, and everything that all of these things that you're trying to place now are replaced by all of the things that these people find beautiful in this sense. This doorman sees Ciara enter, sees Hamaliel enter, sees Tempo enter, and goes, "Hey, you're Tempo. They are a big deal in these parts, you know. We've heard lots of cool things about you. You here for some LA business, if you know what I mean?" Nudges you in the shoulder.
Correct. You have guessed what my business is.
Before he can like really even hone in on you finishing that statement, he turns to John. John, you are multiple vibes at once. This doorman is looking at you, and from beat to beat, he's like, "You're Britney. You're a lady. You're just suddenly just awash with overwhelming, intense. You're somebody special, and he can't settle on what you're just like overflowing with powerful celebrity vibes in this moment." And then he goes catatonic.
And the other three see the pause, right? It's not like I'm the last one in line, and then okay.
Yeah, like he is mid introduction for you, struggles to find the name of who you are, and then freezes. Tempo, at this moment, you are the closest person to him, to the doorman. You hear, like, nothing about him is moving, to the point where even his heartbeat has slowed, and you hear what sounds like the sound of this man constantly exhaling.
That's not great. I would like to try to rewind his body to when it worked.
Okay. What would you like to do for that? That sounds like a playbook move, or is that?
Well, so temporal manipulation is one of my powers of darkness, time distortion.
Mm-hmm.
So I would guess that we might be doing Unleash the Dark here.
Yeah, that sounds like Unleash the Dark to me.
Okay. So
you have no more darkness tokens, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I'm looking at my prompts to see if perhaps one of them happened right before I need to roll.
Let me see.
Lonely or rejected, react with doubt or confusion.
Yeah, I don't think any of these count, unfortunately.
All right, so I'm going to spend 0 and roll. So that's a 7, but 7 is very close to an 8. And so I'm going to go down to my bonds, and I'm going to spend the bond that I have with Jane/John to make this an 8, because I can quite immediately relate this to what I knew about, or what I already know about how John's powers operate. And we've already been talking about the idea of using temporal distortion to basically pull someone back out of a destructive kind of status quo that they've fallen into. And so that part means that this type of action is more familiar and comes more readily to tempo. And that will get me to an 8.
Okay. So choose 2.
All right. So I'm going to say get what you want from them, right? I want their body to go back to working and avoid reprisals, harm, or cost.
Okay, cool. So you rewind them. You rewind the doorman from that beat. Like everyone can literally see the doorman like literally like reverse in a moment to the beat when he was speaking to Tempo. He's like, "You're Tempo. You're a big deal in these parts. You save a lot of people. Why are you in LA? You here to do some LA business, if you know what I mean?"
Yes, I am here for LA business. How did you come to LA?
Like most other people, I had a dream. Uh, woke up and it didn't come true. So I'm here making ends meet. I'm not as special as some other people, I guess. But are you here to stay, or are you looking for someone? Because you know some folks have their appointments and whatnot here at the Trenton, if you know what I mean.
You are correct. We have an appointment. I hope that you still have dreams that you can be pursuing, because even if life does not come out the way we wish it, wishing for life to be as we want is still its own power. And in doing this, like Tempo has been holding this guy's attention so that John can can go by and not reprompt the problem that we've just had.
I definitely scooch back and like walk in front of John with the limo door angled so that his face is not showing to anybody.
Beautiful.
I'm being a friend.
Mm-hmm.
This is
As
true
you all walk in,
accessibility.
there is a beat as you all are already inside where the doorman is turns back ahead to like continue his watch and then glances back inside. It's like, did that one fella have a car door in their hat? None of my business. Weirder things happen here all the time. Goes back to work. You get to the concierge desk and the attendant at the desk is thoroughly enwrapped that Tempo is here. It's like, oh my gosh, you're Tempo and friends. Tempo, I take it you're here to see somebody, to talk to somebody, you know, to get some of that, to get some work done.
Yes.
Who you here to meet? I'll just send you up. I'm sure you're in a hurry.
We are here on business.
Unless you have an appointment. Type. Taka at the computer.
And at this, Tempo looks over to their companions, hoping that someone will pick up on the social thread.
Mm-hmm.
Jane is self-selecting out of this.
Okay.
We just tried that, and there is no way that they're brave enough to go back when all of that is still reeling.
Seeing all of this, Ciara steps up and just goes, "Hi, yes. We're here to see Hank Collins."
Okay, Hank Collins.
It's on a very
Room
big,
312.
large, fake smile.
Not really important looking. But I don't know what the show business looks like these days. Probably like
Just
top
contracts.
level exec
He's
at
got some
Netflix or
stuff
something
for
like
us
that.
to sign.
Oh yeah, cool. I should just let you know, by the way, your client Tempo is up. I am a very big fan of them. Like, you get the impression that this person thinks you're like an assistant or something like that.
It's the vibe I'm trying to give off.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Keeping my very burned arms below the like where the desk is, so she doesn't see them.
Mm-hmm. So she's like, so I take it, since you're working with somebody like Tempo, you're probably have a lot of clout. So I just wanted to let you know, slides an envelope to you. The envelope is open and you can see like the edge of 2 headshots poking out of the envelope. I'm just saying, if you have a need to put somebody in a show.
Well, we'll certainly take a look at it. I'm sure we will have some time to take a look at it while we're signing contracts.
Thank you so very much. Well, anyway, I'm gonna send you up. Just take either of those elevators. It's room 312 is 3rd floor to your left.
Thank you.
Thank you. And still like starry-eyed from the interaction as you all head to the elevator, go up. As you come out of the elevator on the 3rd floor, you can hear the energy of dozens of other people in their hotel rooms to your right, like people watching TV, someone's taking a shower, even though it's like 4 in the morning at this point or some shit. To the left, as you step out of the elevator, is dead to the point where the mortal ones of you can hear your own blood in your head. It's like still, dangerously quiet. 312 from this elevator is like 4 doors ahead of you on this left-hand side.
That was very well handled, Sierra.
I've been around a lot of people like that before. It's just best to nod and smile, and they'll do most of the talking for you.
Hamalel nods to themselves and then smiles while holding the car door behind them, still blocking Jane.
That's excellent, because that means Jane can't see the headshots and like just kind of reflexively try to take them. You never know when you're in their face.
Right.
Okay. You walk up to the door. What do? You're gonna knock. You're gonna kick it in.
I think
Who's going
Hamalil
first?
should knock.
Me? Okay. I listen to my bestest best friend who only has good ideas, and I knock.
You hear frantic shuffling from inside. Who's standing exactly in front of the door? Is it just Hamaliel, or are you
It's
standing
me.
like in a line or in a like?
I would be standing to the side of the door, yes.
I want to say, like, if Hamaliel is the one knocking, then Jane is leaning against the door, kind of next to it, like Soul and Teenager style. But part of that is because I would also like to use the latent power of "you can't hide your heart from me" and try to get a read on the emotion coming from the other side of the door as we are in the process of knocking.
Nice.
Okay.
I will
Spend and roll.
I will remind the GM too that I have emotional amplification as an ability, so I don't know if that extends to being able to read emotions of people that I can't see. Because I imagine that I have to be able to detect emotion in order to amplify it.
Yeah, it sounds to me that it stands to reason that comparable to telepathy, you can create an emotion or sense someone else's, but or like extend someone else's, but you can't sense an emotion that you weren't already aware of. But this works. So yeah, Jane, spend and roll.
So this is a question. There are two ways this power works. The one is that I'm just generally sensitive to the thoughts and strongest feelings of folks around me, and then I can ask questions and such, or in my case, fail and have something terrible happen if I roll. Is it possible here to use just the latent side of it to see, is it nervous on the other side? Is it scared, or do you want me to go the next step in?
Um,
Because I think for the deepen the sense, well, maybe not. Maybe the senses are just like
I
in the
feel
air
like
and I don't have to see
I
them.
feel like mechanically. You know what? Let's read this because you have telepathy. Let's read this as Unleash the Dark instead.
Sure.
For which I will give you the automatic answer to the emotional state of the outside, beyond these questions.
Okie dokie. I'm going to spend 2 now, because that is how many I have, and then maybe I will not go too far this time. Uh-oh, I clicked the wrong button.
Beautiful.
I did
Perfect
it!
hit.
A perfect hit.
Hey.
If it weren't for those 2 darkness tokens, it would not have been a perfect hit at 9. So, getting what you want getting what you want or exposing a weakness both count as gaining that emotional information. So if there's something else that you would want as well, that would also be valuable.
I would like to gain the upper hand for now.
Okay, okay, cool. Do you okay, so I know how to read this. Aha, okay, cool. You hear frantic shuffling from the other side of the door. You sense not nervousness. Nervousness is a very base level of fear. You sense fear. And in particular, you get this like vague impression that it's fear of being followed or observed. You hear that shuffling again, and then you hear like a soft thud against the door. You hear something scrape against the door. You hear a voice go, "Who the fuck are y'all?" And then a beat goes, "Are y'all here for us?"
What's the tone of that voice?
Still abrasive, but less abrasive than the first time.
Okay. We are here to solve a mystery, says Hamaliel helpfully.
I think we have enough mysteries in the world for tonight, friend. I don't know what are you. Who are you guys? What's happening?
We are here to solve a mystery. Please open the door.
I believe the phrase is, "Don't make this go hard."
I can go very hard.
What?
Hamaliel, please open the door.
I smash the door open with the car door.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Only
Does
on
it count as
Speculate.
unleashing the dark, I guess?
Hot door on door.
I very, very importantly need you her to unleash the dark, my friend.
Also, when I
That-
unleash the dark through anger and violence, I take 3 darkness tokens before doing so.
So
Okay,
you should
okay,
spend
okay, cool,
some.
cool. No. These things happen in an order. A thing has just happened. Okay, cool. So you get the 3 darkness tokens. That immediately triggers.
No, it's
Yes,
when you
or
have
between-
5 after a move.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I guess you're spending first. Okay, cool. A lot is happening. Is
Yes.
this well? Oh, this is violence, not anger. Okay, cool.
Yeah, violence.
Okay, cool. Unleash the dark, and I hope this means 2 or more tokens. Yeah.
Yes, I mistakenly hit the gain darkness token.
Yeah, that
twice,
wasn't supposed
so
to happen. You're supposed to have
yeah.
6 darkness tokens.
Yeah, so I take that back down. I unleash the
So if you
dark to
spend 2
enforce
or
my will
3.
somebody. I am enforcing my will not only physically, but socially, and also emotionally. So, you know what? Why not? I'm going to put 3 darkness tokens.
A disastrous success is still a success.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Yep.
go.
Look, we can put it back
Disastrous
together.
success.
14.
I
2d6
do
plus
have
3 equals
I do have
14.
3 bonds, so I could bring that down to an 11, but then I would have no bonds left.
Oh, let
And then-
it happen.
Yeah.
Well, I think an 11 is still a
it's
disastrous
still-
success.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Dipped at 4.
8 to 10 is the good band.
Oh, right. I just checked. Yes, you are correct. All right, disastrous success. I choose one, but the keeper describes an unintended consequence. Can I say that I also gain the upper hand for now?
I mean, yeah, entering the room was the intent. That sounds like the upper hand. Oh God.
It's either gain the upper hand or get past their defenses and inflict a condition. I see either of those working narratively because both of those could be spun to mean I got through the door.
The door is a defense. It doesn't matter. These are not. This person is not a member of a faction and therefore will not like suffer conditions the way someone else would, the way a harbinger might, for instance. So it would be purely narrative.
Mhm.
Can the condition just be like definitely going to cooperate because a 5 foot tall celestial god just smashed the door down with another door?
Yeah.
The condition compliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see this. So, Hamaliel, you take the limo door and shoulder check the hotel door. It takes the like chain that folks just like uh the security thingy. It takes that and the bolt that security chain was still connected to, and that part of the door frame, and the entire wall connected to the hinges on the other side of the door with it forward against this guy. He goes 4 feet backward into the hotel TV, which falls off the TV stand and out the hotel window. A guy on the bed jumps, reaches into his pocket for Bowie knife, and it slips out of his hand and hits the floor. And then immediately puts his hands up and goes, "Okay, hold on, whoa, 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 whoa. What the fuck is happening, y'all?" And that's where we're gonna take a break.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
A lot is happening.
I'm so glad you didn't have the guy actually hold up the knife because I would have thrown the limo door at him.
Oh no, yeah, you would have decapitated this mortal man. It would have been a shame. Let's not do that. Folks need to learn things about these people. But we're gonna learn more about these people and these things very, very soon. But we're gonna take a very short break. I reminded to everyone watching and listening that a break for us is a break for you as well. So do all the things that you need to do to take care of this body of yours, because you only have one, and we'd like for you to bring it back to us in a few minutes as we continue with the Pitman sculpture. We'll see you in a bit. Hello, everyone, and we're back with more of the Pitman Sculpture, our Apocalypse Keys mini-series, over here on Speculate, alongside our good friends at Queen's Court Games. Where we last left off, our wonderful crew of Division Omen class investigators have just discovered where one of the buyers of the Veiled Gentleman was staying and went to their hotel to ask some questions. And instead of asking questions, they just kicked the door open. Or rather, Shola checked it with a limo door. Hank Collins and one friend are now at the mercy of these four in this hotel room. And before we progress and I ask everybody what their next move is going to be, I'd like to let Hamaliel and Jane know that they both get two darkness tokens each.
Oh, that's ominous.
Yes.
So that puts me at 5 darkness tokens again. So after my next move, I am going to end up torn between.
So I think it's you have to not have 5 or more after your next move, because you tend to get darkness tokens between moves.
Yes.
Okay, I will wait until the next move then. But would anyone like to interact with the scene? There's one guy lying on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I announce cheerfully when he asks what the fuck is going on. I say, hello, we have gone hard, and if you answer our questions, you can go home.
I would like to take the knife. Reach over, take the knife so he doesn't get any funny ideas. No funny business here.
He flinches away from you immediately.
And sorry, double checking, the person who was at the door has been flung out of the window?
No. He's on the floor. The TV is out the window.
Okay. Huge upside. TV does not count as casualties on this planet.
It does not. Out the window, you hear a car horn start blaring, and you hear two people cursing very loudly, but you don't make out what they're saying. Ciara is the only person with the wherewithal to be able to interpret. Maybe we almost killed someone outside, but at least we didn't.
They're fine. We'll ignore this part in the report. We'll gloss over it.
Absent any other interjections, I think this is a time for Jane to, I guess, grasp for keys that they are a telepath. These people, their guard is down. I know their emotional state. They're terrified because of our door-wielding friend here. It should be the exact right moment to go up and then just ask a question. And I feel like this is how they express their powers generally. You can ask someone a question like in an interrogation, and like in their brain, they're going to think of what they need to say to lie. But I can read your brain. So it's just like getting a live printout of the machine code truth that is inside their nugget.
Mm-hmm. It's like a lie detector that goes off in milliseconds. So yeah, spend and roll.
I'm going to spend those 2 because I've been rolling really poorly and I do not want to melt another face or brain off. Mine or somebody else's. So let's see how it goes. 10. Ooh. Perfect hit.
Hell yeah.
Perfect hit. So you uncover a key. Aha.
I guess if it helps prompt what you're coming for, we know that they are actually I don't remember if Mr. Collins here is the buyer or the seller.
Mr. Collins is the buyer.
Okay, so then my first question out is going to be essentially in the vein of who is this for? Why are you interested in this? What does the statue mean to you, and why was it important enough for you to purchase?
So the guy on the floor goes, I just saw a thing that thought it was gonna I thought it was gonna look good on a mantelpiece. It probably fetch a couple hundred thou. When I was done with it, it looked worth having, you know? Sometimes I just troll the net and buy shit. I didn't know, as he's having this conversation, like absolutely rambling out of fear, you sense from the both of them that they are anxious about the four of you, and that they have been anxious in this way for several hours.
Like
And
they
it
knew
gives
we
you
were coming.
it gives you the impression that they knew that they were being followed, and that the fact that you have now invaded their space confirms for them that you were the people who were stalking them, which is a new thought to you, obviously, because you have no idea why they would think that you were looking for them.
Then I'll follow up with that, and I think that it's a rough edge from John, because as they are saying, "Oh, I just wanted to find it and I'm gonna put it on my mantle next to the other creepy statue that I bought. I'm just a creepy statue collector, man. You know how it is." John is going to recite to them the real-time thought in their head. So they're BSing, and John is like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they followed us. We knew they were going to come here. I told you not to do blah blah blah," and just like teleprompter out their own thoughts in a very dramatic display of, "I don't have time for this. Like, I will reach into your brain, I will pull out all the memories you like and not give them back if you are not like straight with me right now."
The guy on the bed is like, come on, man, it's just a goddamn statue. Why on earth have you been trailing us for several hours? I've seen the car, we've seen the 2 or 3 of y'all lurking out the diner. Just take the thing and go then. Why does this matter? It's just a goddamn piece of pewter with a cool cloak on it. Why is this important? That's what cements for you this moment. The people that they thought were following them are not you four.
Okay. So in the lie detector sense, they are telling the truth about just wanting a statue. Like they don't actually know what it's for.
No, yeah, they are not lying to you.
Okay.
They were on the dark web like nerds, saw a thing that looked cool and expensive, bought it because they thought buying cool and expensive shit on the dark net makes them look cool and like they have money. And then weird stuff has been happening to them for the last 10 hours.
Then again, reciting the fear and the whatnot directly back to them until they stop talking, and then I have their attention again. Okay, well, if not us, who are you afraid of? Who are the people who are supposed to be kicking down the door instead of us?
People, they weren't wearing suits, but like people. The last time I saw a group of them follow us, maybe like 10 or 11 of them, cloaks, sometimes masks, sometimes not, all in the dark. It hasn't been happening since we got the thing, so I figured either somebody was trying to jump us for it because they knew that we bought it and wanted to get back their money, or get it for some other collector who lost out on the bid, or something dumber. And I don't know which, because y'all seem like the latter. But you also nearly killed my friend.
No.
The guy on the floor is groaning in pain.
That to me still means no, because he is alive.
Yeah.
So after he after I interject no, I say, so where is the statue now?
The guy on the bed points at a briefcase on an like office table. This is a suite sized hotel room. So there's a large mahogany office table to one side, and it is the only thing there. Like they moved They moved the coffee machine and all the box of signature tea and shit off the table just so it will be the only thing on the table.
I go to look at it then. While Jane continues asking questions, I go to look at the statue to see what is up with that.
I'll be collecting information about. Honestly, for Jane, it's like, okay, we have the MacGuffin, and they're being pursued by someone. If we have it, then they will come to us. So it's more at this point, at some point, Arya is going to ask me questions about the thing, or I'm going to have to fill out actual paperwork. So I'm getting those background details going, like what site did you buy it from? What was the seller's screen name? Things that Jane doesn't actually care about, but knows they will get in trouble if they don't ask. So not narratively relevant unless it is, but just filling that space so you know what Jane's up to while Hamaliel opens the box.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Right. So functionally this is a briefcase, but it's quite a bit wider than a briefcase would be. And when you open it, a very weird thing reveals itself to you. It opens out less like a briefcase and more like if you were turning a satchel inside out. It opens like a display, and in it is this large glass case. The faces of this glass case are 3/4 of an inch thick.
Ooh.
It is almost distorting the actual visual appearance of the statue. But in the statue is what looks like a pewter statue of what looks like a man in a bowler hat covered in a large shawl. When you open it, for a few seconds, it is exactly as described. And then, for a very brief moment, the shape of the statue shifts. It all turns like a kind of liquidy soup in the box, reconstitutes itself as the statue, and then a portion of the pewter in the statue just kind of points outward as if it were ferrometallic material that is reacting to Hamaliel being in his presence, as if it's trying to literally leave the glass case and touch you. But it can't.
Hamaliel sees this happen, and now within the span of a single day, they have seen things reach out to other things 3 times. The statue, the people reaching to John, and then the people in the vision between them and Jane reaching out to them. So Hamaliel looks at this and then looks over at Tempo and says, I think it's related to Jane.
Possibly. The police will arrive soon. We should depart.
I shut the case and I tuck it under my arm. Woohoo!
So what now? The guy in the bed says.
You will be compensated for the trouble. However, this object is...
Friend, that was 800k. Do you have that kind of money on you right now?
You will be compensated for the trouble. This item is... The provenance is... whack.
What?
Can it be canonical that there's a standard division reimbursement form that if your house gets knocked over by a superhero, you fill it out? So Jane reaches into their pocket and pulls out a 1073 and just signs their name on the bottom of it, tears it off and hands it over, and the instructions are on the back.
No, yeah, it's this very obtuse kind of document. The relationship between division and insurance is such that this reimbursement can happen, but it goes through a lot of very weird hoops to make sure that no one ever knows what the money is being spent on, but the money is always exactly as necessary. So he looks at this piece of paper, is like, homie, this is gibberish to me. Let me ask some questions first, since Again, you nearly cut my friend in half. Homie is
No.
still on the floor, crying in pain.
Amalia looks at him and says, "Why are you so weak?"
He looks up. This is the first time that anyone else can sense, now that he's finally moved, that his shoulder may be severely dislocated. Like, it's not moving. And he looks up to you and goes, "Why are you so strong? You look like a child." The guy in the bed goes, "Why do you want this thing so badly? Why does anyone want this? It's worth a lot of money, sure. Why it's worth someone's life, I'd like someone to tell me before they leave."
Here's that John doesn't actually know the answer to that question.
None of you know.
I know that it's dangerous.
You could say that much if you want.
Yeah, it's dangerous, and having it will
What is it, radioactive?
yes.
Or you're gonna tell me some mummies radioactive?
Yes, it is radioactive.
The
That is
people
why you're so
following you
weak.
earlier with cloaks and masks, they are the problem. Do you wish to be followed all the time by people with cloaks and masks?
But then why are you looking for me and not the people with the cloaks and the masks who are actually doing whatever it is
Because
they're doing?
that, as Tempo points to the statue, is what they want. We take it away and we will take your problems away.
I'd like to not have my problems and have my statue. Is that possible?
No.
No.
Why do they want it?
It is better you do not know. I recommend
So I spent-
Kandinsky, a fine human artist.
So I spent 10 hours, I spent the last 10 hours of my life shitting stone bricks. And no one can tell that the answer to this question is maybe I should just buy something else.
Kinda, yeah.
This could be a really good idea or a really bad idea.
That's what
There's
this
only
game
good
is.
ideas here.
I
That's what
know,
this game is.
but like I don't.
I
have
feel
to...
like asking and answering this question is the reason why y'all are the lowest team in division.
Because like the part of dealing with Jane's powers is that they don't really deal with like the mushy stuff. It's all just you have to be coldly logical because emotions open you up to the kind of connections that then turn you into a mannequin, right? So there's a part of me like outside the game that says it'd be very interesting to introduce this thing, and there's another part of me that's like I'm really tired of ruining people in front of everybody by doing this thing. So I'll pitch the idea and then we can talk about it. But I think this would be a time when Jane could reveal your heart and try to communicate the sincerity and like the massive amount of danger so that this person feels better about giving it up, both in terms of like their own safety, but also like it's the correct thing to do. And just kind of cut this out. So that way, like the stress is gone, but also like Sharon just kind of wants to leave the room now, but not in a way that makes this person distraught or causes knock-on problems.
I think it makes sense narratively for John to try to make things better just because she hasn't been deliberately trying to mess things up. Currently, all of it's been due to the dice literally just punishing you for doing things. So this is kind of like Jane taking back some of his agency and trying to wrestle against the powers that be. So for me, it makes sense if, you do decide to go this route.
That works for me. I like it a lot.
Do I
spend and roll?
Do I gain darkness tokens for being scared before this? Because I am scared and also Jane is scared.
Were you scared before this moment?
The scared is the like I'm going to do this thing that I know is dangerous and I have been really, really bad at, but like one way or another it will work, right? So it's
Okay.
I want to help.
Right.
I'm fearful I will not. because
Okay,
so far I
cool.
have not.
Okay, cool. A sequence of things are going to happen then. You're gonna gain uh you're gonna gain 3 darkness tokens for being scared. You're gonna roll, and then you're gonna gain 4 darkness tokens for asking someone to listen to your wisdom.
Oh boy. Mathematically, it sounds like I have to spend at least 4 on this roll, or else.
Well, you
know
can
what?
only spend up to 3, which means that you can spend
Okay.
the 3 that I've just given you, because you have none at the moment.
And the
If you
consequences
want to
that,
spend all 3.
and the consequences that if I hit 5, I'm torn between.
Mhm.
This makes
If you hit
perfect.
5 at the end of this roll.
This makes perfect narrative sense for me. That like no matter what happens, John is torn between at the end of it, right? So let's just. I'll spend. I'll end this with 5. However that math works out. So I think I spend 2.
Mhm.
Okay, so I will spend 2 on this roll, and then we'll deal with the consequences of 2 things in succession or as they go.
No, if you're gaining 3 now and then you gain 4 after, that means you have a total of 7. So if you can spend a maximum of 3, then you can end with just 4, and then you don't get torn between.
Okay. It's interesting either way, and I think the way my luck has been going, if I spend 3, it's going to be disastrous. So we'll get there.
Okay.
Mhm.
Me and
I
my.
am in favor of however it goes.
So rolling for reveal my heart. Oh, that's
Oh
not
no,
possible.
you didn't
So-
add any tokens.
Yeah,
yet.
you didn't
Yeah.
add the tokens to roll the tokens. So I will play it like this. The 3 plus the 3 tokens that you said. Did you say you were gonna spend 2 or 3?
3. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 5 or it's 6, which is both a miss. So
Yeah, unless you have bonds to spend.
Yeah, 2
Right,
bonds would
so-
get you to 8.
Mhm.
And
Unless you want to fail.
Now you gain 4 darkness tokens.
so the miss condition for reveal your heart is something interrupts or undermines the moment, a dire warning, consequence, or an aspect of the mystery itself. And I think that moves the plot forward in a really interesting way. So I'm fine just
I
missing
was
and going
hoping
from
you'd
there.
say that.
Cool.
I was hoping that you would say that. Don't forget your 4 darkness tokens. So start saying what you're about to say anyway. I want them to hear what you were planning to tell them.
Look, I know $800,000 is a lot of money to come by, and I know that you've been through a lot of stress tonight, but there are worse things in the world than 5-foot tall limo door drivers, and there are strangers things in the world than my friend with too many joints, and there are more seductive things in the world than the power my friend here has. And people like us, like, we're trying to contain that. We're trying to keep you safe from that. And none of the money in the world can fix what will happen if you hang on to this thing and the people who are coming after you find you.
Why are they coming after me? And why aren't you after them? Why are you after this? When it sounds like there are some bad hombres out there that you could be dealing with your massive joints and your massive whatever, as he points at Hamaliel.
We need it because it is itself dangerous. The people are dangerous. The object is dangerous. You danger multiple directions. We're here. We're solving this problem, and then just as soon as possible, we'll go solve the other one. And there's like a little bit of mounting, like I don't know how to explain this to you, bro, building up in Jane's voice, which is, and the longer that I'm here having to try to explain this to you, the more likely it is that the following catches up. All right.
You hear police sirens rapidly entering your closer earshot. It sounds maybe a minute and a half away at this point, like moving very quickly towards you.
Had a thought. We remembered, this is paranoid, but the police were like, John Collins, gotta get him. We're like, that's really atypical. And it's because the police are fucking in on it. That's my thought, is that they're like, we're gonna go get that statue. Thanks for telling us where the statue is, nerds. And if we didn't have a rocket car, they'd have already been here.
Oh, interesting.
I don't have no idea if that's true, but that's like the thought that is going through. Like,
Acting on a hunch is actually very cool here. I mean, Jane can learn whether that's true or not.
they can?
Grasp a key.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Do we need to have John torn between first?
I'm at 4.
Oh, you got down to 4.
Only at 4.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So then let's go back in the narrative. So like John's telling this story, and like what? So like they're gonna come for you, and then the sirens happen, and I'm guessing that like Tempo is like, ah, yes, law enforcement, people who always have our best interest at heart, and so on. And then that's when Jane is kind of like coming up from that crouched posture and looking and saying, unless they're already here. And then I'll roll for to grasp at the key.
Okay.
I'll spend 3, and I will get a 10, a perfect hit.
Nice. Gain 3 get to a 3 darkness tokens back for reacting with uncertainty. Just moving on a hunch counts, and that can in that circumstance. The interesting thing about this is grasping a key means that I must give you something. But the first thing I have to tell you is your hunch is incorrect. The cops aren't in on it. They just saw a thing happen at the diner that was weird and freaky, assumed it was like anthrax up to 11 or some kind of weirdness, and decided to move on it like commandos in the hopes that when they solve the problem, it will probably make them look very, very good. Is your new assessment of that scene just people trying to be as militaristic as possible about the weird thing that they saw in the diner?
I think we can explain that by like when Jane says, unless they're already here, and then just like focus their emotion beam radar in that direction, expecting to hear like nefarious cackling, but instead hears like hut, 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 and like an eagle screech in the background, right?
So and that's the thing, right? So you're casting your feelers of emotion out into the world. You sense all of these very distinct police energies. One of the detectives is like, this is going to make my career. This other detective is like, I am very afraid that the world that I'm living in is devolving into this kind of violence and destruction that I can't even make sense of. What the hell happened in that diner absolutely frightens me, and I must resolve it before something ruins this place that I live in. One of these beat cops is like, I just want to get this over with so I can go back home. I haven't seen my wife in 16 hours. Somebody else is like, I have no idea what's going on, but this is paying my rent. Let's get this over with so I can go back to sleep. And then you sense 3, 4, 5 weirdly hollow kinds of mental presence in the area. You hear from these people this kind of low drone of thought. Not like they're not operating on a certain level or some kind of bullshit like that, but that they are so uniquely focused upon this thing that this focus is monotone. And you can't really make out the sound for a bit until you hear, we will make this world beautiful again. And as you hear it, you start hearing it more loudly, more deliberately. The 5 police cars from the diner all pull up outside the hotel. Everybody pulls out with guns drawn on the doorman for no good reason and starts shouting towards the window, "Come out with your hands up!" Like any of that is going to help. This is a bad idea, obviously. No one actually has any tactical benefit in this situation. And then you see emerging from like a bookstore on the corner that seemed previously closed from this view from the window. Someone steps out from the bookstore that is still closed with its lights down and its closed sign on the door in like a neon pink trench coat, uh thigh high neon pink boots, steps towards one of the beat officers and puts her hand on his face. You see this man gaze up at the sky and start moaning loudly in something you cannot tell the difference between absolute terrific pain and overwhelming rapture. And then he turns into a pile of rubies and falls to the ground.
Okay. I am going to look at everyone else and say, get out of here.
Yes, that breaks the law.
Why the fuck are the cops here? It's just I feel like I'm losing my mind.
Look at everyone. Get the two of them out of here. Just take them somewhere. Gonna buy you some time.
Is it, Ciara, is it like, has this happened before where like something dangerous happens and you go hurtling towards it and like Jane understands that's your MO?
Yeah.
And then in your opinion, is Jane like, all right, have fun, I'm gonna be over here not dying? Or is Jane like, oh, my idiot friend needs my help?
I don't know. I think it leaves up to you. I feel like both could have happened. Because I've just been sitting here staring at this one move I have that I'm like, it's perfect for this moment. Because it gives me a chance to create a golden opportunity for my allies to get away with.
Then I think that Jane's not going to go because there are three people who are much better suited to this fighty part. And then don't worry, I'll be right back. And then try to help these people sequester themselves away from whatever terrible thing's about to happen.
The move I would like to use is I am your destruction.
Would you like to describe this move to me?
Yes. You hold onto your power with an intensity that would break most souls. You're always a single breath away from shattering under the pressure. When you allow your power to surge and cause collateral damage, ask the keeper what catastrophic destruction you cause. Choose 2. And it's like I can gain a ruin, I can uncover a key, I can protect the people who matter most and gain a bond, or I can also reshape the environment, creating a golden opportunity or a fleeting moment for an ally.
Okay. Either way works. So I want to ask first, do you want me to declare the destruction you cause first, or do you want to declare your 2 decisions first?
Tell me what destruction I cause, and then I will declare my decisions.
Okay, cool. So I want to be sure first and foremost, what is your intention? To clear a path or to manifest chaos?
It is to clear a path. Like if I can just sort of like blow out a hole in the back wall to start with, so that just my friends can just go out the other side of the hotel. And then I cause residual chaos here to buy us time.
Cool. So there is a fire escape down the hall. That you manifest all of your power of flame to just kind of just carve a hole of flame between you right now and anything that would get in the way of just moving towards that space. So everyone could just follow a line down that space. In that moment, you're also focusing on the scene that happened, and you notice almost outside of your own control, or almost as if a part of you is responding to a kind of rage or a kind of fear or a kind of confusion, that this tornado of flame that you have made to make this path circles out the window and downward towards three of the police cars and just kind of raises them in a line like a large beam of fire. It lights four cops. The girl in the it lights four cops on fire. Um, Sets the young woman's pink jacket ablaze, and she just kind of throws it off and then leaps back almost dramatically. And then you notice 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people in grey cloaks emerge, and the flame is already kind of eating through 3 or 4 of them and sending them across the street. Choose two. And I'd like to tell you a thing.
I would use destruction to reshape the environment, creating a golden opportunity or a fleeting moment for an ally, golden opportunity for them to escape. I'll gain a bond with Jane, probably.
Cool.
Because, it's kind of like we look and it's like, okay, we're doing this. This is plan, get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm. That's one.
And you know what? Maybe it goes a little bit out of my control, and I'll mark a ruin.
Are you sure that's what you want to do? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what I want to do. I'm like, let's get dramatic and messy with it.
I hear ruin advances are really powerful.
I haven't had any ruin yet.
You permanently gain an aspect of the Harbinger's powers of darkness. The Keeper will tell you what it is.
I like that the scene mirrors the way that Jane and Ciara met. Because this is like, it keeps happening. I get into trouble and you fire tornado me out of it. And like, that is the sweetest thing that John can communicate to another human being, right?
Get you a friend who would fire tornado you out of problems.
Exactly.
You aren't really paying attention at this point. It catches your attention idly because, again, you weren't aiming to actually hurt or kill anybody. You didn't want to actually carve this path through here. You wanted everybody to get out through the back and leave. So you only notice it because you notice that this is a response of your fire that you weren't intending. And it's only because of that you notice that there are people who are here, and they may be, according to the dossier, they may be the beatographs that you're looking for at this moment. And that's when you notice the 3 men in cloaks that you burnt through with that residual flame. They're not on fire because they're not there. There are no human beings on fire that emerge from that flame that you have just created. Instead, you see 3 very shiny, almost perfectly new silver swords lying on the ground. And you get this sense in your head, vaguely, that doesn't make any sense, but you've seen things not make sense before. You think the fire made those out of those people. They're the best swords you've ever seen. They resemble things that you've seen in a shop before and wanted to buy, but they cost 4 figures, and you can't justify them because you have nowhere to hang them up and you don't know how to fight with one. But they're there. And looking at them, they kind of beckon you towards them even. They feel like you feel like they belong to you and you should go get them.
Yeah, maybe, I move a little closer.
I mean, you're still upstairs. There,
Yeah,
that's happening outside. You'll
yeah.
have to come outside to get them. Who has the case?
I had the case, but because I just want to clarify, before Ciara told us to leave, did we see that there were 10 extra people basically coming out to basically chase us and stuff? Did we see that, or did we only see the 3 cops?
I think before you left, the only people who saw the woman in pink was Jane and Ciara, and the only person who saw everybody else was Ciara.
Okay. Um, and did Hamaliel see the woman in pink turn a human being into rubies?
Nope.
No? Okay.
You just heard Jane react with absolute fear. Speaking of which, take 2, Darkness Tokens Jane.
I like the idea of reaching out with like the emotion beam or whatever, and then the teleplay happening on Jane's face. So like as they go through each emotion, you kind of get that voice and stuff, and then the actual agony of being turned into rubies like playing over their face, and then the connection is severed, and that is how they communicated the information.
Oh, because it does stand to reason that that telekinesis means that you can communicate, to your teammates, and you can gain information from them, but they cannot communicate to each other, which is useful.
Okay,
Useful for me.
So did I gain that information from Jane then?
Yeah, so you just gain it.
Okay, in that case, because I saw something that very much defies the laws of nature and is not correct, I have certain orderly feelings about this. And so I give the case, or perhaps I even throw the case to Tempo, because Tempo is the most capable one out of all of us and definitely can make sure this does not fall into the wrong hands because their hands are so big and multi jointed. And while the others file out, I'm going to pick up the other door that I knocked down with my free hand, and I'm just going to stick by Ciara, just in case. So if Ciara decides to move downstairs, then I will go with her to be like, double wielding some doors.
Oh god. So does that mean that John and Tempo are with Collins +1 somewhere?
Yeah, I think, well, it'd be great if there was another hole in the world, like in the wall, so we could just, fly out the side. But I think it's funnier if we scurry away and then take the elevator and we intercut between the nonsensical chaos of what's happening outside the hotel and Muzak on the elevator with Collins +1 and the 2 monsters in an absolute ridiculous social situation.
Right. So to be clear, there is a hole that leads to a fire escape on the other side of the hotel that Ciara made for you, so you can flee through it.
Okay.
But Tempo, you can only lift 2 people. You'd have to unleash the dock to qualify how many people you can lift.
It's Tempo's main motivation is the preservation of life, right?
Preserving these 2 people's lives, keeping the statue out of whoever those people's hands are, I would say are their priorities here. And so they're like partially attending to what's happening back in the room, but also paying close attention to the humans here.
Would it make sense then that Tempo gets to do the heroic, like lifting the 2 of them out, and then John has to go take the elevator, and then like because now we've extended it where like maybe the fire escape starts to bend, and then you're being heroic, and then there's chaos happening outside, and then John is in the elevator, so we get all 3 of the things.
It's
I
perfect.
love this.
I love everything about this. So we get to the hole, the fiery ashy hole that's blown in the side. Tempo turns to the 2 of them and says, "Don't worry, I will protect you. This is what I'm here to do." and then kind of wraps their very two big arms around both of these people, and then gently flies them down in probably the most superhero-y they've looked since that introduction in the first session.
Mm-hmm.
And then partway through the cut through Jane descending in the elevator, just being Jane, just do 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 do. Hamaliel sees Ciara kind of want to go towards the swords, and looks to Ciara and kind of adjusts their grip on the doors, and says, "Hop on, I'll get you downstairs."
Are we about to do a fastball special?
What is a fastball special?
Throw me.
No. Get on my back and I'll jump down.
Okay.
Because as we have established previously, I threw a TV out the window. So I kick through the rest of the window and then jump out that window with the two doors and my very bestest friend.
Okay.
Brandon.exe has stopped.
I entered an error. That beeps us out.
So many things are happening.
I'm so happy right now.
Hamaliel has to roll for that.
Yeah.
Unleash the dog for me?
Okay. Does this count as violence?
Does it?
I'm jumping
No?
out a window.
No. That's not violence.
Okay,
That was
okay,
violence.
cool.
That was violence.
Okay, so I'm unleashing the dark. Cool. I'm enforcing my will physically on the world. Yes, that is what I am doing. Yes, very good. I will spend. I feel like the YOLO energy makes it 3 darkness tokens. What do people think?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, let's go for it. I have 3 bonds. This can't go wrong. Okay, let's go.
I mean, it can.
It's a perfect hit.
Hey.
Hey.
Okay.
All right, so
choose
Ciara
three?
has piggybacked upon me, and I jump out the window. Yeah.
Hilarious, because Sierra's taller than you.
Yes, it works. It just does. Fallout. Anyway, I'm also holding the little door, and I'm also holding the hotel door. And I wield the darkness with control and ease. That's extremely funny. Okay, so who is left outside? On the landing.
Right. So there is like 3 police officers who are friendly to you but responding with absolute shock at the fact that you are here. Who are confused by what you just did, but also confused by the presence of the people in cloaks who are not responding to gunfire. Like, it seems to be to the naked eye, it seems like they're impervious to gunfire, but upon closer inspection, it looks like the bullets are passing through their cloaks and entering some other space elsewhere.
Okay, so we still have friendlies technically on the field, as well as very unfriendlies. Plus the 3 shiny swords that Ciara is still interested in. That's the field in front of me. Okay, so
also cars, obviously, if you want to do a car thing.
More doors for you. Your door collection.
For me. My door collection.
I believe it's called a carcinal.
Wow. Oh my god. I thought I had escaped puns.
Never. So I think confusing everybody for some time would be very good. And I would like to expose a weakness or a flaw of the cloaked people. I feel like if anything was going to expose a weakness of yours, significant momentum erupting from 3 floors above you with 2 doors would kind of do the trick.
Mm-hmm. So you land on the concrete outside the Trenton Arms with a force that sends this massive gust of wind forward towards everybody. It's massive enough to like tilt one of the cars a couple of millimeters. But it obviously raises the cloaks of all of the cloaked figures outside. One of the police officers still emptying a magazine in that direction, uh, quite recklessly, really sillily. Um, Puts two in the right side of one of the cloaked persons, like as their actual body is exposed. Um, and that person immediately reaches for the cloth around them and tries to cling it towards themselves, and is now like lurching in pain on that side. Um, and then when the cops goes, it turns to Hamalia and goes, "Do it again."
I cannot jump down from the third floor again, I announced to them.
I mean, I'll unleash some fire again.
But I can throw one of two extremely heavy doors again.
You can do that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Ciara, I hope you've hopped off my back by now.
Yes.
Because, yes.
I assumed. Are you gonna throw a door?
Yeah, I think I'll throw a door.
Just to see how the door responds.
Just to see how the door responds.
No, yeah, you're still unleashing the dark hair.
Mm-hmm. Or, rather, everything about Hamaliel has felt like very close range violence as opposed to long range violence. So can I shield charge somebody with one of the doors?
You can do either of those things. The
I
thing
will
that
do the
occurred to
shield
me
dash.
is you can either unleash the dark or you can use come on tough guy. Counts in this moment. You are going up against a colossal and you're going up against an otherworldly opponent, which I think counts in this instance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I will do that. I will come on tough guy.
Okay.
Yes. So the way I come on tough guy is I T-pose because this always makes people stop moving for some reason. And I remember the fact that these people are the reason why that two human beings are very weak, and the reason why Jane has been extremely stressed, and the reason why Tempo has been reminiscing about how they first reminisce in great sadness, and also why Ciara has, with great stress, released lots of fire, which always makes her feel very guilty afterwards. So I am very displeased at this turn of events that they have caused. So I T-pose at them and I put on my very biggest smile because this is what I wish to do. And I say, "Do not worry, my friends. Everybody in front of me is going to die."
Okay.
And then I attack them with my doors. Yes, that is what I do.
Okay. You are overreacting with violence. Take 4 darkness tokens.
4 darkness tokens. Let's see. Where is the button that lets me do that? Gaining. So I gain 4.
Which puts you at 6.
Which puts me at 6. And I would like to roll for come on tough guy. I think I'm going to add 3 because this is quite a moment. Click to roll. That's a disastrous success.
That's the most you could roll, right?
That's the highest possible result, yeah.
Yeah, 12 plus 3 is 650.
I really care about my friends, you guys, okay? Everybody in front of me is going to die.
I mean, on a disastrous success, you are locked in an intense battle and you cannot stop until your opponent is destroyed. Choose one from the perfect hit list, or you can only pull back if a player agrees to spend one bond to reach past your rage. If they don't spend the bond, you cannot stop fighting until your opponent is destroyed.
I don't have any bonds with you.
I'm in an
And
elevator.
technically nobody else knows that this is happening, so narratively this doesn't...
Yeah,
Okay,
so
cool.
narratively doesn't work. I can
Pick
choose one from the above. And so for those who are only on audio, the one from the above are, I can either give my allies a golden opportunity, I can choose an ally to gain a bond with me, I can uncover a key at great cost, I can inflict 2 conditions on them, but then take one in return. I think I'm leaning between either the golden opportunity or the key at this moment. The only ally who would be able to gain a bond with me, because you're the only one here, would be Ciara. So I would like to kind of weigh the decision with you. Would you like to have this be a bond gaining moment, or do we want to just lean into the hello, you're beating the crap out of these things and you've uncovered a key?
I mean, that's pretty good. You know, either that golden opportunity, bond, like definitely key. Key is good.
Okay, so I will take the key, uncover the key at a great cost, and because there are no bonds to spend with me, I can't stop fighting until my opponent is destroyed. Also, Brandon, I don't know if this is the game as designed, but my ruin move is my last move, and that move is none stand before me. So that move's text says, you may at any time choose to kill an NPC who is vulnerable to you. So I don't know if that applies to any of the cloak people here. But yes, because this is the text of Come On Tough Guy says I can't stop until they're destroyed.
Yeah.
So that seems to fold into this.
These characters are not vulnerable to you, or at least not yet.
Okay.
So what happens is, you put this... Which door are you charging with?
The limo door. It's my best friend so far.
Right. So you charge with the limo door. You press forward against these cloaked figures, and they immediately put their hands up and are like repelling you with a kind of force. You can't see because the door is in front of it. You can only see the extremities of things that become bigger than the door. But they're blocking you with objects that are being summoned from within space, the space between you and them. They summon like a tree, and then the tree falls down as you push it. They summon a large wall of gold bricks, and you charge through the wall of gold bricks. They summon like a large pile of stuffed animals, and you just kind of tumble through them. They are just constantly pushing wild and crazy shit in front of you, and it's all preventing you from actually getting in the space where you can actually touch them. But you keep getting closer with enough force and enough rage. And the fact that that like 4 or 5 of them need to focus on you in order to keep that distance in the first place is a good sign that if it weren't for one or two of them, you would have already like knocked them out and thrown them 6 or 7 feet up into the air and on the other side of the street at this point. But that would require somebody else to intervene, either for them or for you. While that's happening, Tempo, where are you?
Just checking. Jeoi, did you take the gain a key option?
Yes. I
Okay.
took the gain a key option, so I assume the key will happen
Alright, yeah.
once people have been destroyed.
Right, yeah, you have a key that I need to give you.
I just want to flag it. I'm happy to jump over to tempo and give you some time to think, since that's where you were. Seems like you were gesturing.
Aha. I know. So you continue forcing your way through this space. And as you keep getting closer and closer, you finally find yourself within arm's length of one of these individuals. Um and as you kind of clip them with the um limo door, you snap a locket off of their neck. This is the first that anybody has noticed that they're wearing anything, that they have anything of worth under their cloaks other than just wife beaters and shorts anyway. Um, and it kind of snags on the door, on one of the jagged, dented in parts of the door, which is the only reason why you can continue charging forward and still be able to see that the locket has a photo of a husband, wife, and small child in it. And you get the impression, even though you haven't seen um, the face of the person that you just knocked out, that one of the adults in this photo was them. And then when you glance back at them, you notice that their face is covered in this mask. It's the think of Count of Monte Cristo mask. Think of the mask that one of the classes in Dark Souls wears that I can't recall which, where nothing is visible except one eye. Um, like you get the impression that that mask is there for a reason that is significant in comparison to the otherwise very pristine, idyllic image of this photograph.
Can I headbutt the mask through the door? Since the
Yeah,
window's gone by now.
I'll give you that easily for the key. Um, this person's face is um like covered in tattoos that are made to resemble scars.
Amaliel is thinking very strongly of Jane, of course, who is the only other individual they know who wears a mask. And as they basically curb stomp this one person and moves on to the other one in a graceful manifestation of universal dissolution, they say in that reverb galaxy voice, "My friend looks better," and moves on to the next person.
Oh God.
Cut to tempo.
Yeah, you continue. Right, yes. As you continue charging through these spaces. Tempo, where are you?
So we've just sat down in the front parking lot, and Tempo has set the two people on the ground, but still has their arms wrapped around them, and says, "We will wait for my companion to arrive, and then we will get you to a safe location."
Which companion was this? Was it we were waiting for Jane?
Yeah.
To come out the elevator?
Yeah.
Cool.
Currently just kind of nodding along to a an instrumental. Well, it's from it's a 60s or 70s hotel, so it's probably proper music. It's not new stuff, so it's upsettingly catchy that they're
It
just
is. It is what you can only presume is a remaster of a brass instrumental recording of "Fly Me to the Moon." You come out the elevator. The elevator is facing the front door, where you can see Hamaliel shoulder checking for people with a limo door, and lots of police officers just reloading, emptying clips, reloading. The back exit is like around a corner from this elevator and backward.
I think the sound design of the scene is incredible because you have like the nice cheeriness, then the ding, and then as the door
Yeah.
opens, they get to just jam those sliders and all the sound effects and just instantly rip.
And then you turn the corner again and it becomes just a little silent again and you come out the other side of the building.
I have the box and I know that I cannot take the box to where the danger is, but it is like it's heart-wrenching because I've worked with Ciara, so like the amount of I can usually judge Ciara's emotional state by the amount of conflagration, and like, oh, this is a 5-alarm fire, so Ciara's not having a very good time. And then of course the fact that like the gunshots are punctuated with the chorus of angels blasting trumpets is also not a good sign. But I know I can't help them. That defeats the purpose of everything. There is no rational reason for me to take the thing to the people who want the thing. And like there's that step forward that would make the audience go like, "Oh, John's an idiot," before he turns and just grudgingly awful hauling himself and all of her baggage towards the agreed upon rendezvous point with Tempo.
Okay. You come out, you meet Tempo and the other two individuals. Tempo, you're the first to hear footsteps from the other side of the back parking lot of this hotel.
I will hilariously turn with two adult people in my arms so that I can face the footsteps.
You see a young woman, blonde, blue eyes, red t-shirt, like black pencil skirt, pink knee-high boots. The individual from earlier who just lost her jacket. And she goes, "There you are."
So, do we think that the sense of the scene that Jane conveyed earlier extends far enough to be able to recognize this person in this moment for Tempo?
I think that depends.
I think you
on
recognize enough. I think you recognize enough details from the description that Jane would have psychically described to you that you pick up.
Okay.
Oh, pink.
So Tempo drops the two people and says, "Running is the best choice that you can make." And then Tempo flies aloft about 15 feet up, their hands like fully extended. They have a gigantic arms, like a gigantic wingspan because they're 7-something foot tall and their fingers are too long. And they call out to this person, "What are you doing here?"
I want to be absolutely positively sure about the thing that I'm about to do.
I'm like 100% expecting Tempo to like get hit by lightning out of the sky or something right now.
Oh God, not. We're not playing a superhero show. We're playing something much sillier than that.
I just imagined the a non-copyright infringing version of the Giles theme song playing as Tempo takes to the sky.
Right, like in the TV show of this, the Tempo theme song is composed in the style of like a superhero movie song, and but then you put it through. It's like it's either in minor or like it's in weird polyrhythms that are slightly unsettling.
Right. So I right. So this is what happens. This young woman standing before you sees you hover into the air with all your imposing superhero might and grins. And she says, I'm just here to clean things up. And she snaps her fingers. I would like you, Tempo, to power through darkness for me so I know how to respond to a thing that just happened.
Okay, I'm just gonna look at that real quick. Power through darkness. When you push the limits of your supernatural powers, straining to the extraordinary, or avert imminent danger, spend darkness tokens and roll. Sure thing. I will spend some darkness tokens with that. Spend and roll. 2 darkness tokens. And roll is a 7, which is a miss, but I'm going to spend 1 bond with the public because I'm doing superhero shit.
This is grand. This is grand. Okay, cool. This young lady snaps her fingers before you. And briefly, you do not see the world in front of you anymore. You see your home planet. You see it at its most lush and most progressive and most industrious and most complete and most hopeful that it has ever been in its entire lifetime. And that's saying a lot, because it's never been these things as for as long as you have seen them, or very, very rarely in brief, sharp glimpses, never as rich and as beautiful as this. You see loved ones who you know have died reach ages that you know they have not reached. You see broken parts of your hometown reach reformed shapes of beauty that they have never taken for as long as you've lived there. And then that image kind of fades away as you kind of focus on the fact that this is not real. You're doing something right now. What are you doing? Oh, right. These 2 idiots on this statue. And when you come to in this space, you see a small crowd of people, like 25 feet away through like a gate nearby where construction is happening on another side of the street, with camera phones looking at this scene with you and this young woman in frame. And you hear people like gasping and whispering, but you can hear that they're saying powerful, hopeful things about you. Oh my god, that's Tempo. Why is Tempo here? Is that girl like a supervillain or something? Is some supervillain shit happening in LA? Are we gonna catch some superhero shit? Are we gonna catch some Marvel Studios crap over here?
All right.
This young woman looks up to you and says, "You really don't want to look at anything beautiful, don't you?"
So one of the things that you might get on an 8 when you power through darkness is a bond with someone. I'd like to pitch that I regain my bond with the public as those people are kind of asserting and kind of hoping to be witness to some superhero stuff.
We're just all sitting there like, it's him, oh my god, it's him!
Also, take 2 darkness tokens for the brief confusion of that scene.
I think I'm going to also take another 2 for feeling lonely, because this person tried to show me something truly beautiful that I know is a lie, and that just makes it hurt more.
Hello.
And then I'm going to, like, having come back to my senses, I kind of respond to this woman who says, you don't want to see something beautiful. There is more beauty in my people's past than humanity has ever learned and forgotten in the pursuit of joy and beauty and truth. And you will not stop me. and then Tempo kind of reaches back in time to this moment, this fake moment, the little shards and degrees of it that were real. And I want to use my move Ashes to Ashes. When you declare how the wisdom of your people may help in a situation, spend darkness tokens and roll. This is some sort of illusionist. Like, this is a mental illusionist. And so what they reach for is the Blade of Psionic Annihilation, which is a weapon that they had, that the Relayum had to make in order to fight it's like, they're like the Brood from X-Men, because I'm in superhero mode. So it's like a consuming hive species that used psionic offense. And so the Relayum forged these weapons, and that's what I'm kind of reaching for. So in order to spend and roll, I'm going to spend 3 darkness tokens and roll. Did it actually work? So that's a 7, but I can spend bonds. I'm going to spend a bond with what the darkness demands, because this is like a lot of power to be using. And I've previously established that one of the things that led the Relayum to their doom was an overuse of power. And that will take me to 8.
Okay.
And so on 8, your wisdom shines brightly in the dark. Choose 2. Recall ancient knowledge. Ask the keeper any question, and they will answer it honestly and with great detail.
I hate it when games ask me to do that.
Awaken latent abilities within. Choose another power of darkness from another playbook. You have access to it for now. Recognize the signs of portent hanging over your fellow monsters. Each PC gains 1 darkness token. See a fractured memory in the face of another monster. Declare that what that memory is and gain 1 bond with that monster. So I'm going to... What I actually want to do is I want to gain one of the powers of darkness I don't have, which is an ancient weapon of destruction. As I've reached back in time to grab one of these psionic and annihilators, I think is what I said. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing I want is I want to ask a question. As Tempo reaches back and for a split second is connected to that rich legacy of their people that they tell this brightly colored miscreant about, they want to know... Actually, the question I want to ask is, who is the Pitman sculpture, and where did they come from?
You reach out for the Blade of Sonic Annihilation, but before you get there, you briefly find yourself somewhere in the 1950s, 1960s. Time on Earth is weird because you don't know how human culture has evolved up to this point, but sometime in the vague past, you watch this lanky, skinny young man drag like this large pile of stone into a barn in a farm somewhere and take 2 very small strips of sandpaper and polish it. And you watch for what for you is the normal spanning progress of time, but for everybody else occurs in your psyche for mere seconds. You watch this man spend 8 to 12 hours a day for a year and a half, just scraping just with one piece of sandpaper in his hand, slowly smoothing out the edges of this large piece of pewter with sandpaper. Things that to mortals don't make sense, but to you makes even less sense because this is just a mortal and this is a piece of stone. And 5 to 6 months, you start seeing it take some vague shapes. You see, like, there is an intentionality here. 8 to 9 months, you see more clearly. He's trying to do things very deliberately with the way that this portrays fabric as a piece of cloth in a way that is absolutely fascinating to you, considering that he's doing with it such a remarkably useless tool to you. And that entire time, it seems as if he's talking to the statue. He keeps telling the statue how his day went, things that he's noticed in town, things that he wants, things that he's afraid of. You notice every once in a while that he will be working at 9 or 10 in the night, even though you can hear other people at the farm and you can hear people ask for this person by name. "14, 15, 16 months in, as you're watching this entire thing unfold day by day, hour by hour, in the natural progress of time, you see him emerge with a thing that looks like the Pitman sculpture, but is 8 feet tall. And then you see this man pull up a rocking chair in front of the statue, sit in front of it, and never leave. You watch this man, like, become hungry, become thirsty, lose will, and fade away in front of the statue. And then his family finds him in the barn. You have no idea how they could have not known that he was there, but they realize only after he has passed that he has been there. They hold a burial for him in the farm. They bury him in cornfields on the farm. The farm closes down. His 2 sisters and their children leave. And then you see, like, repo men come for, like, the tractors and stuff on the farm. And your gaze leaves to look at the front, even in this, like, fictional space, turns to watch them enter the large red barn doors to look at whatever else can be appraised in this space. And when you turn back, the large wagon where this like 8-foot statue should have been now has a 10-inch statue in it. And you look at it very curiously, it's like, that's not how that. And it's only when you look at it that you notice that the statue turns to face those individuals as they are looking at other things in this barn, looking at tools and whatever other machinery can be harnessed in this space, before it realizes that someone has turned to look at it, and it lies down flat on its back in the wagon, and everyone hears it go plack against the metal of the wagon. It's like, what's that? Someone's art project, I guess? And then you see it go on sale, spend months at a time on people's desks as a paperweight or on a mantelpiece somewhere. You get the vague impression that it starts changing shape, becoming just a little bit bigger, just a little bit smaller every once in a while. And you notice all of those people start getting lots of very beautiful, lovely things coming into their lives. You see Fortune 500 CEOs start getting fancy watches and cars as gifts and going on dates with a different model every night. You see like an art teacher somewhere has it on his desk at school, and his school is constantly being like repainted by students with lovely murals outside, and the flowers are always growing in the path that leads into the school steps. But all of those people start getting very, very sick, and then you never see what happens to them after that. You just see where the statue ends up next, and you see that happen 10, 11, 12 times. And then you reach for the blade of Sonic Annihilation and you pull it forward. What do you do with the blade of Sonic Annihilation?
So while this is happening, has Jane walked out of one or another entrance into the periphery of this scene?
Oh yeah, Jane was behind you when the girl entered in the first place.
Yep.
I think I don't know. Well, it makes more sense, but having established that John's prerogative is to not bring the statue to the people who want the statue, if we want to say that they turn the corner and then see Tempo going into superhero mode, that's like, okay, not door number two, door number three. But if we want to turn it another direction and then bring the statue into the scene for narrative purposes, I'm more than happy to follow that.
Yeah, because like I'm fine to stare down this person and either leave this story beat there, or follow you kind of with the statue, because I think trying to do the fight could go for a while, and we have an active action scene on the other side of the building.
Mm-hmm. Would it make sense for us to say that, like, John appears, Tempo sees them, the woman turns their attention, and now it turns into an escape scene instead of a fight?
There is another way that this manifests, which also depends on you entering the scene late, which is he sees John enter and goes, I have no idea who you all are or why this matters to you, but we can paint this picture another time. And then they snap their fingers again. And this large golden tree starts cracking out of the asphalt in front of you, growing at a massive rate and incredible size in the direction that would immediately shove Tempo backward. Like just jutting out of the concrete, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Huh.
Do you just let it shove you, or are you gonna try to break this tree?
I'm going to respond with incredible speed and dodge out of the way.
Cool. I'm just gonna let you do that. When you do that, a like small swirl of flower petals have just started landing to the ground where that woman once stood. Hamaliel, you are still shoving and shoving past all of these people until you start feeling yourself having no resistance and running all the way forward. And running all the way forward. And running all the way forward. You have not noticed yet that you are actually just running across the intersection with this limo door in front of you. No one is on the other side of this door now.
Well, that is very annoying. But I can turn around and go back to my very best friend, Ciara.
Ciara, you see 4 previously undefeatable combatants just turn into like flower petals or like the fly leaves of very expensive, very old first edition books, or like small sheets of gold leaf, and then just disappear.
Are the swords still there?
The swords are still there.
I'm picking up at least one of them.
You have an sword. It is the. There is a point at which you look at it and can't stop looking at it. And then one of the cops emerges from like the busted up, glass broken, exposed door of one of the cruisers, lifts his head up very curiously and goes, "Did we win?"
I think so.
Yes.
And he looks around, sees absolute carnage everywhere, turns to where his immediate superior was, and sees two small rubies jetting into the passenger side mirror of that cruiser door, and says, "Doesn't look like we won." And that's where we're going to close tonight's session of the Pitman Sculpture. Just a little bit long, but I wanted to get into the meatiness of that last thing. Oh yeah, how did you all feel about this session?
I'm glad that we
Good.
all got a scene to do something absolutely ridiculously extra.
Yeah.
Yeah, it stands to reason that you all got an opportunity to do some Hellboy stuff. Because this was wild. I'm very glad that we got to show everybody an opportunity to like not only save the day, but to be reckless in that regard as well.
I also like that we all got to do something just like asinine, like riding an elevator or pretending to be a personal assistant or like holding the door in place, right? So it's a good balance of both.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm very glad that we got to do some silliness this evening. I'm very excited for you to get further because you've discovered a great deal about some parts of the mystery, and some parts of the mystery have come to look for you at this point. So I'm very eager to see what happens next from this point. But that will have to be at our next session. So before we leave, I would like to ask all of these lovely people to please let all of the lovely people watching and listening know who you are, what you do, and where they can find you next. Starting with Aubrey.
Hello, I am Aubrey. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Mad Queen Cosplay or the Mad Queen. I am the technical director over at Queen's Court. You may not always see me there, but I always seem to. I'm doing a lot of things on a lot of things. So yeah, and you can also find me as the GM of Goblets and Gaze. We are wrapping up our final season for our very first campaign. It is going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, other than that, just keep an eye on it. I have got a lot of really cool things coming soon, TM. Just no exact dates on them.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Next, Jeoi.
Hello, and very soon goodbye. I am Gawain Lin. Tonight I played Hamaliel, our resident zombie cinnamon roll, who now dual wields doors, which is very good. They, he pronouns for me. You can find me on Twitter at This Is My Design. Design is spelled capital DASEIN. It is a philosophy and Hannibal fun.
Nice. Next, Aaron.
Hello. This has been delightful. I love to think about this. I'm so happy right now. I was literally crying earlier in the show out of joy. I am the Forever GM at Queensport Games, where, among other things, in the near future, I will be running the internet's second best Court of Blades podcast. I also play Call of Cthulhu, Cult Divinity Lost, and Vampire the Masquerade. You can find all of those things either from my Twitter, at Aaron in Words. Also, the same thing on the Better site, Blue Sky. Also, DM me if you need an invite, because I got a pile of them, and like people aren't asking for them. So, like, if you're watching this, hit me up. Also, or at Queen's Court RPG. That is where you can find all the stuff that we have talked about and go and going on our side of the fence. Thank you once again to Mike and to Brandon and to Jeoi for having us over. This has been delightful. I'm so happy, literally buzzing.
And thank you for joining us. This is so rad. I'm so glad that we get to share this thing. And last but not least, Mike.
I'm Mike. I write as Michael R. Underwood. I have to thank Brandon and all of my colleagues for helping me indulge my weirdo superhero fantasies. This is very good. Some people write superhero comics. I do weird monster superhero actual plays, and it makes me very happy. I am the dancing master for Valorword, which is Speculate's Court of Blades campaign, which is now a critically acclaimed Court of Blades actual play series, and that makes me very, very happy. And we are continuing to produce that. We've been very happy to have some new folks come on board in the cast because other folks have gotten very busy because it's a cast of professional science fiction and fantasy writers. And so we have a lot of fun with that. That show is much more in the swashbuckling, intrigue, love, blood, and rhetoric. There must always be blood kind of school, which is a different vibe, but I hope you will also enjoy if you like things like The Three Musketeers or Game of Thrones, but without maybe some of the things that a lot of people don't like about Game of Thrones. You should probably just watch and find out. You can see all the videos for that at speculatesf.com. You can follow me on socials at Mike R. Underwood, and you can follow Speculate at SpeculateSF, both on the website formerly known as Twitter and the Blue Sky place that's better for the most part. That's me.
And as for me, I am Brandon O'Brien. I keep the keys so you don't have to. I am one of the co-hosts of Speculate alongside Mike and Greg. I am a poet, writer, and game designer from Trinidad and Tobago. And you can find me almost everywhere on the internet, including the bad site and some of the okay sites at The Rising Tides. But I would much rather you go to my website, that is also my newsletter, brandonobrien.xyz. A reminder, of course, that you can find all of the cool things that Speculate does at speculatesf.com, and definitely at the Patreon, patreon.com/speculate, where you find all kinds of other neat goodies about the things that we are playing, things that we want to play, and how we feel about playing. So if you want to hear us be more verbose about how TTRPGs are rad, you can go and join us over there, and I think that you should. Again, I remind it would be remiss of me not to thank Aaron and Aubrey for joining us for this cool thing. I'm very glad that we get to share a thing together. I think that this is really cool. I'm glad that it's Apocalypse Keys because this game is chaotic as hell and I love it. And I'm very excited to see what our next session holds. But until that next session, I would like to let everyone watching and listening know that you are very rad, and we're very glad that you are here. So I hope that you have a wonderful evening. I hope that you have a wonderful week. And please do take care, because you never know what could be on the other side of that door. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.